All right. Welcome, everybody. We are live. Let me know if you guys can see and hear me. All right, let's get it started on Instagram. Okay. Okay. Hello and welcome. We will get started here in one moment. All right. Very good. Welcome, everybody, here to our live stream. We will get started here very shortly. Vamos a esperar unos 5 minuticos para que llegue toda la gente y después de eso vamos a empezar. Entonces, sí, dame unos minutos y vamos a arrancar. Our live stream, we will get started here very shortly. Ok, súper. Pero sí, la idea de esta noche es que vamos a hablar de unos dichos en inglés. Y es que ya me da cuenta de que eso no va a salir así. Entonces, así sería mejor. Entonces, avísame en el chat si pueden ver bien am, lo que estoy mostrando allá en la pantalla. Pero bueno, vamos a empezar con el dialogue. Entonces, sí. A ver. Sí, dame unos minutos y sí, vamos a arrancar. Ok. Bueno, all right. How is everybody doing tonight? All right, welcome everyone here on YouTube and also on Instagram. We're about to get started. So, we'll be talking here about some idioms and how to use them in a variety of situations in business English. So, the idea is that you guys can watch this stream, and then when you go back to work on Monday, you can use these idioms in meetings and in other situations. So we'll go ahead and get started here. All right. So we'll begin by reading the dialogue. So the idea is to learn these idioms in context. So we'll start here with the dialogue. I don't want to make waves here, but I don't think Kim is making a good financial decision for the company. Oh, I don't know. Maybe you just don't see eye to eye. I think she's done a lot of research and she knows what she's doing. That's why they pay her the big bucks. All right. Awesome. Thank you, Cleo. Well, I understand why you think that. You were born with a silver spoon in your mouth, just like Kim, and have never really been short on cash. Anyway, it's some food for thought. To play devil's advocate, making big decisions is second nature to her. She's great at it. Okay, let's agree to disagree. We're never going to settle this, I think. All right, very good. So, does anyone have any questions? Does anybody know any of these phrases? Es que hay alguna frase acá que ustedes ya conocen. Entonces ya vamos a mirar a ver cuáles de esas frases ustedes ya conocen. Y cómo es la pantalla. Ah, ok. Dame un minuto, es que no se puede ver toda la pantalla. Ok, ya. Voy a hacer que... Ok, ya mejor. Creo que así mejor, ¿cierto? Ya pueden ver todo y en esos también. Ok, así está mejor. Like that is much better. And if you guys have any problems hearing me or seeing the screen, please let me know so that we can fix it so everyone can understand what is going on and keep up with our live stream. So we will go ahead and begin. Give me one moment to get something else set up. Okay, very good. So I'm going to put this link here in the messages. Okay, all right, very good. So I'm going to put one thing here in the messages before we begin. So, as you guys know, these live streams are free, but I do accept donations. So, if you guys like what you see and would like to support the channel, feel free to check out this link. But of course, no pressure, it's just an optional contribution. But anyway, we'll go ahead and we will get started. So, our first idiom here is make waves. Oh, welcome, Serena, to the chat. Very good. It must be very late there. All right. So make waves. This means to cause trouble or to disrupt a situation. So as we saw in the dialogue, he says, I don't want to make waves. And this comes from waves in the ocean. So when you have water, when you hit the water, you make waves. So en español es como causar problemas o agitar las aguas. Entonces, en español es muy parecido al inglés. Entonces, I don't want to make waves. Now, let's talk about the context. So you can use this often to soften a statement. Cuando vas a decir algo que sí va a causar problemas, antes de decirlo, disculpe, puedes decir que I don't want to make waves, but, and then say the thing that may cause problems. It's a way to be more diplomatic and more polite. So, like we said, this comes from boating, from kind of it's a water metaphor. So a related idiom we have is to rock the boat. We also say to stir the pot. So I don't want to rock the boat or I don't want to stir the pot and things like that. Any questions? Very, very late. Yes. Well, thank you for being here anyway. All right. Any questions about make waves? So what we will do is today we're also going to look at some videos
and
about
the
this.
power.
So we're going to watch some videos so that we can reinforce this vocabulary. So we're going to go to our favorite website here, Youglish, and we're going to type in make waves and we'll see what we can find.
But we don't has a willingness to kind of make waves.
Let's go back and get more context. This seems like a good example.
A strong sense of individuality, has a willingness to kind of make waves.
Okay. So in this context, I believe he's talking about the attributes, the characteristics of maybe someone who is to become very wealthy or powerful. So he's saying you have to be willing to make waves, to cause problems.
Every success, and I hope that this Australian company goes on to make waves around the world. The future.
Okay, this right here is a great example because it makes me realize that make waves isn't always negative. So it kind of means, I guess, to make an impact. So he says, I hope this company goes on to make waves around the world, meaning to have an impact. So it's not necessarily negative. We'll do one more and then we'll move on.
Is just trying to make
Okay. Let's go back and get more context.
money on a war on cancer. I mean, this is really what my presidential campaign is about, is just trying to make waves, trying to enter the national conversation.
Okay. Very good. So this man is running for president or some political office, and he says his campaign is trying to make waves. So he wants to make an impact. He wants to rock the boat a little bit, shake things up, something. Sometimes we say it like this. Does that make sense? Let's check the chat and see if anybody has any questions. All right, very good. So We will continue, and let me check and make sure that, okay, perfect. So like this, everyone can see the screen well. All right, so now we'll move on to see eye to eye. Now, to see eye to eye just means to agree with someone about something. So here we say we don't see eye to eye on this decision. We don't agree on this decision. In the first example, we said the first character says, I don't like Kim. I don't think she's very smart. And the other person says, I don't think you see eye to eye, meaning you don't agree with Kim and her ideas. So, en español es como estar de acuerdo o coincidir en opinión. Más que todo, estar de acuerdo. Entonces, ¿y cómo se hace? ¿Cómo es el contexto cuando debo usar esa palabra? So, we often use this in meetings as a polite or diplomatic way to introduce a disagreement without sounding aggressive. So, for example, we use this in a negative way a lot. So you can say, hey, I know that we don't see eye to eye, but maybe we should agree on something else. So here, we don't see eye to eye on this project. I know we don't see eye to eye, but I respect your view. So this one is saying, I know that we have a different opinion, but I still respect you as a colleague or as a coworker. So this is a very great phrase that you can use to disagree with people. Very good. Blessings, brother. Thank you for the live. You're very welcome. Welcome. So, all right. So this actually comes from the Bible. I didn't know this, but it comes from the Bible. And there's a verse that says, they shall see eye to eye. So meaning to agree completely. So an interesting origin for this phrase. JP, welcome to the live. Yeah, thank you as well, Manuel. Very good. Thank you, JP. Glad you could make it. All right. So another synonym, a similar phrase for see eye to eye, is to be on the same page. So when you agree with someone, you can say that we are on the same page. So, any questions so far? All right, perfect. So we'll look at eye to eye and we'll find a few examples in context. Okay, so type it see eye to eye.
Truth is that Carl and I don't see eye to eye on some things. We'll just keep this.
Okay, very good. So here he says, Carl and I don't see eye to eye on some things. In this context, it looks like they're going to be working together or teaching some kind of course together. And they introduce it by saying, we don't see eye to eye, but that's okay. We're still going to work together and teach together in this class. So let's move on to the next one.
You don't see eye to eye anymore.
Okay. So a lot of you probably know who this is. This is another online English teacher, Lucy, I believe. And she's talking about the phrasal verb drift apart. So drift apart, this is when you have a close friend, but then you're not as close as you used to be. Maybe you had a big disagreement, or maybe your life changed, you moved to a new city, and you just kind of slowly drifted apart. So here she says you don't see eye to eye anymore. You don't have a good relationship any longer. So we'll move on and do one more.
People can come together and see eye to eye on this issue.
Perfect. This is a great example. So here he's speaking at what looks like some kind of political conference or town hall meeting, one of these meetings where the public can go and speak to the local government officials. And he says, we'll look at it one more time.
That people can come together and see eye to eye on this issue.
So people can come together and agree on this issue. So this is a great example. Okay. All right. Let's see what we have in the messages. Eye on the ball, concentration. Yeah, very good. So there are many phrases that involve eyes in English, and you're right. Eye on the ball means to concentrate, and we commonly say to keep your eye on the ball. So this phrase comes from baseball, talking about when the ball's coming, you got to keep your eye on the ball so that you're able to hit it, but we use it in business also. So very good. Thank you. Making a... Oh, okay. Very good. A snake ladder game, board game, we'd say, while learning with you. Okay, awesome. Well, I'm glad you're here multitasking, and I hope you learned a lot. Thank you, Manuel. All right, let's move on to the next phrase. The next one is a bit simpler. It knows what she or he or they knows what someone is doing. It's very simple. It just means someone is competent or confident in their abilities. So the example we gave here is that this woman, Kim, knows what she's doing. So, sabe lo que hace. Está capacitada en español. ¿Y cómo se usa eso? Eso es muy, no sé. A veces eso se usa de una forma defensiva, sí. Cuando alguien está cuestionando o dudando mucho el trabajo que estás haciendo, puedes decir, I know what I'm doing. In this case, is very defensive. So you can say, they know what they're doing. He, she knows what he or she is doing. So it's designed to defend someone's ability. So it's a bit aggressive, this phrase. So, okay. And another related phrase is on top of things. So we often say, I'm on top of it. So if someone, your boss asks you if you need help with a project, you can say, no, I'm on top of it. I know what I'm doing. Okay, very good. So we'll look at a couple examples for this one, but this one is very straightforward. It's very simple, so we don't need to look at too many. All right, perfect. So we'll look here. So we'll say knows what, we'll say she's doing.
Because she studied it for ages and she knows what she's doing. She put everything.
Very good. So she's studied it for ages and she knows what she's doing. Now let's see if we can get some other ones. We'll put in I know what I'm doing.
I know what I'm doing.
Yeah, so you see she says it with a lot of confidence.
Hey, I ain't no first year teacher. I know what I'm doing.
Yeah, so in this, actually, I'm quite interested to see what led up to this. So let's watch a little bit more of this TED Talk.
Connected in a world that depends on it. I think back to my second year teaching, I had a student who I'll call David. And I remember feeling like I'd done a pretty good job of teaching that year. Hey, I ain't no first year teacher. I know what I'm doing.
Yeah, so here she's expressing that she's confident in her job, she knows what she's doing. Okay, it could be a compliment. Yeah, very good. Exactly. So if someone says, hey, you know what you're doing, it's a compliment saying that they trust your abilities and they're confident in them. So, right, very good. So we will continue. Now we're going to do a quick quiz. ¿Y qué pena con todo este ruido? Okay, ya se fue. Bueno. All right. So what we're going to do is review these last three words. So you see there's a blank, and I want you to fill in the blank with either make waves, see eye to eye, or knows what she's doing or he's doing. So the first one, I don't want to, but I think this decision might hurt the team in the long run, meaning to cause disruption or conflict. So to cause disruption or conflict, which one would that be? Would it be see eye to eye, make waves, knows what she's doing. Okay, and I realize that I'm a bit off center here. Okay, it's just on this one. So I'll move this over a little bit. Okay, that should be better. Make waves. Very good. Thank you. All right. Lords. Very good. Thank you. Make waves. Exactly. And what about number 2? We don't always on design choices, but we respect each other's process. So this one's about agreeing completely. What would it be? Okay. So yeah, so this one is going to be see eye to eye. So this one will be make waves. And this one was going to be see eye to eye. All right. Very good. So, and then the last one here, don't worry about her presentation. She really knows what she's doing. Very good. Knows what she's doing. Perfect. All right. Awesome. 2, yeah, very good, Manuel. And number 3, knows what she's doing. Okay, very good. So now we're going to move on to the next section. So big bucks. We talked about she makes the big bucks. Now, this just means a large amount of money. And buck is another word for a male deer. So that's another word, but typically bucks is a slang word for cash, for money. So when someone makes the big bucks, they earn a large salary. And yeah, en español es como un sueldazo o mucho dinero. Entonces, cuando usamos eso, es sobre todo de una manera normalmente como, pues, no sé, para divertirse, como una broma o algo así. For example, let's say that you do something very simple at work. Like, let's say there's a problem with the computer and you tell your boss, let's turn off the computer and then turn it on again. So it's a very simple solution. So your boss turns on the computer and he turns it on again. And then if it works, you can say, oh, that's why they pay me the big bucks. And so it's kind of a dumb joke. Like, oh, that's why they pay me a lot of money. And it doesn't necessarily have to be literal. We use this as kind of a joke. That's why they pay me the big bucks. And you can also say make a killing. So you can say John is making a killing in his new job. So we'll look at a few examples here so we can see this tone, the tone of this statement. Okay. So we'll put in this full phrase. That's why they pay me the big bucks. And we'll see what we can get. Oh, no result found. Okay. We'll just put they pay me the big bucks and see what we get.
Yeah, of course. That's what they pay me the big bucks for.
So here you can see this is a perfect example. It's this guy, looks like he works in a fast food restaurant, and he's saying that's what they pay me the big bucks for. So let's see what came before this.
Display, so yeah.
Well, I guess I appreciate the banana facts.
Yeah, of course. That's what they pay me the big bucks for.
So he made a dumb joke, and she says, oh, I appreciate this joke. And he says, that's what they pay me the big bucks for. So kind of, a playful joke that we'll often make. All right. Welcome to the live here. All right. So we'll move on to our next phrase, which is born with a silver spoon in your mouth. So This is a phrase to talk about people who are born in a very privileged background. So the idea es como en español decir nacer en cuña de oro. So people who were born in a very privileged situation to very rich parents or a very rich family, people will say this about them. So, and the use of this phrase is typically not very polite. Some people say that someone was born with a silver spoon in their mouth. It means that this person may not understand the struggles of the average person. So, yeah, it's a bit of an insult, and so it's not advisable to use this in day-to-day conversation. But if you hear it, you'll know what it means. So, another way to say this is to say that so-and-so, someone has it made. So, if you have it made, it means that you have a very easy life. So, not necessarily that you were given this life, but if someone has it made, it means, okay, John has it made after he won the lottery. So he has all the money in the world. So, two phrases to talk about people in very fortunate situations. Okay. All right. So let's see what we can find here. Okay. We'll type in, yeah, silver spoon in their mouth. See what we can find.
Some people would start with a silver spoon in their mouth, and other people with not enough to eat.
Okay. This is a perfect example. So it looks like he's talking about tax reform, and he says, in the world, some people start with a silver spoon in their mouth, and some people start with not enough to eat. So some people are born in a very fortunate situation, and others are not. So, vamos a seguir. All right. The next one is to be short on cash. Tiene la vida hecha. Ya, sí, muy bien. Tener la vida hecha. Sí, eso no sabía, pero sí, eso está muy bien. Es como la misma cosa en español. Muy bien, ejemplo. Okay. So, our next one is short on cash. Now, when you're short on something, it means that you don't have something. Es como falta de algo. O como decimos acá, pues en ese cosita, estar corto de algo, de dinero en ese caso. So you could say, I'm a bit short on cash. Could you please let me borrow $20? Or I can't go to the movies because I'm short on cash. Now, we also say short on time, short on patience. So to be short on something, it means that you lack something, you don't have very much of something. So estar corto de or falta de, tener poco de, más o menos así. So here he says, you've never really been short on cash. Como es que nunca has faltado nada o algo parecido. Entonces vamos a seguir. A ver. So here we see a few examples. I'm short on cash this week. Wait until payday. I'm a little short on cash. So one thing I didn't mention in the previous slide is it's more a temporary situation. So if you're short on something, it means I don't have it at the moment, but I will have it soon. So you wouldn't say that you're short on cash if you never have money. But if you typically have money, but right now you don't, you can say I'm a bit short on cash. And it's casual, it's not dramatic. It's not like saying, "Oh, I'm so poor and I have no money." It's very laid back. "Oh, I'm short on cash. Can I pay you tomorrow?" So, all right. Another similar idiom is strapped for cash. This is quite common. You can say, Yeah, after the holidays, everyone's strapped for cash. I can't go to the movies this weekend because I'm strapped for cash. Okay. Yeah, thank you, Serena. Have a good night. Very good. Thank you for stopping by. All right. So let's look here at the examples for short on cash. Okay, perfect. Short on cash.
Suddenly they were short on cash, which is exactly what they had tried to avoid by saving and acting responsibly all those years.
Okay. So here in this speech from Obama, he says suddenly they were short on cash. Suddenly they didn't have very much money.
But we're not just short on cash, we're short on resources. 91.
Okay, this is perfect. So we're short on cash, but we're also short on resources. The way he pronounces that is a bit weird. Resources, I would say resources, but very good. So lacking money and lacking resources. Okay, very good. Does anyone have any questions about short on cash? Okay, we will continue. All right, now it is quiz time. So we're going to do a short quiz about these three phrases. So I want you guys to please read the sentences and fill in the blank with big bucks, born with a silver spoon in their mouth, and short on cash. ¿Puede ver? Ok, sí se puede ver. Listo. Entonces, si pueden leer lo que dice ahí y por favor pon, pon las respuestas en el chat. All right. So the first one, he must be making at that tech job. Did you see his new car? He's talking about earning a lot of money. What would you say? He's earning. All right. Big bucks, we would say. He's earning big bucks. He must be earning big bucks at the new job. Okay. The next one. She doesn't understand what it's like to struggle. She was born with a silver spoon in her mouth. Very good. Born with a silver spoon in her mouth. Listo. All right. And the last one. Let's skip dinner out tonight. I'm a little short on cash. Okay, very good. All right. All right. Welcome to the stream. We're talking about business English idioms. Okay, so I'm a little short on cash, meaning she doesn't have very much money at the moment. So we will continue. The next one is food for thought. So this is a phrase that literally means something to think about, something that you should consider. So it's very commonly used after you make a suggestion in English. So if you make a suggestion and you can tell that the other people don't like your suggestion, you can soften it by saying it's just food for thought. Es como algo para pensar, algo en que pensar, un tema para reflexionar. So the idea is this can soften any suggestion you make. And yeah, it's just a polite phrase to use after you give someone advice. So yeah, used to offer an idea that encourages reflection, especially in decisions or proposals. So yeah, so let's look at a few of the examples here. Okay, we'll see what we have here. Food for thought.
So here's some food for thought. Let's talk about.
Okay. So he starts his explanation by saying, here's some food for thought. Here's something to think about. Food for thought? It's a good question. I would say it's a neutral phrase. So you can use it in any situation. So let's say your friend is telling you about his personal problems. Let's say relationship problems, and you make a suggestion. Oh, why don't you do this? Or here's some food for thought. How about you go to a couples counseling or something like this? Making some kind of suggestion, you could begin by saying, here's some food for thought. So it's formal and informal, I would say. It's neutral. You can use it in any situation. So let's see.
This is a lot of conjecture, but it's food for thought.
Okay. Yeah. So in his presentation, he's saying conjecture, which means that what he's saying isn't 100% verified, but he's saying it's food for thought. It's something to think about. We're kind of guessing. We're making a hypothesis, but it's something to think about. You're welcome.
At the end of each chapter, she then gives you some food for thought.
So it gives you something to think about. Let's add the word just and see if I can find a better example for you guys.
A Q&A session again.
So this is really all just food for thought. And what?
Yeah, so he's saying this is all really just a suggestion, just something to think about.
Us as well. Certainly this is given not just food for thought for us, but I think.
All right, so we'll move on to our next phrase. Okay, the next one is quite common. This is to play the devil's advocate. So this is a phrase we use to talk about when you take the opposite side of an argument. So here it says to pretend to oppose something in order to stimulate discussion or test ideas. So to play devil's advocate, making big decisions is second nature to her. En español es como hacer de abogado del diablo. So when you have an opinion in a business meeting and it's different than the status quo, or you think that this opinion may be very unpopular, before you give the opinion, you can say, oh, I'm just playing the devil's advocate, but let's think about it in this other way. So it's a safe way to introduce a contrary or a different idea, because the context is you're just saying, let's think about it in a different way. It's kind of like you're detaching yourself from the idea. It's like you're saying, I don't necessarily believe this, but let's just consider the other option. I'm not saying I support this idea, but let's play devil's advocate here. So it's a very effective phrase in a business meeting. If you have an idea or you want to challenge somebody's idea, but you don't feel confident enough to do it, or maybe the person with the other idea is your boss or something like this, you can use this as a way to soften your idea. So it's quite a good phrase. So, and apparently it looks like it comes from the Catholic Church, used to argue against sainthood by highlighting a candidate's flaws. So I did not know this, but quite interesting. So in a simple way, you can say to take the other side. So to take the other side of an argument is to play the devil's advocate. So let's look up some video examples and see what we can find out. Devil's advocates.
As more team members start to play devil's advocate.
Okay. So responding to unhelpful design feedback. So let's get a bit more context here.
Everything is going well. until a developer brings up a scenario that wasn't accounted for in the requirements. And that leads to your product owner bringing up another hypothetical scenario that you don't think will happen, but now the critique is off the rails as more team members start to play devil's advocate.
So she's talking about people bringing up possible bad. Excuse me. All right. So she's talking about people bringing up possible bad situations and saying more team members are playing devil's advocate, saying, oh, what if this? What if that? So we'll look at another one.
Devil's advocate here.
The curmudgeon.
So we all know one of the most pressing concerns about all of this is an unlucky accident, right? What was that science fiction short?
Okay, so this is a perfect example. So this man is going to ask a question, and he starts it by saying, devil's advocate here, meaning I'm going to ask you a question that is a complete opposite of what you think. And then they use another word, curmudgeon. A curmudgeon is kind of like an angry old man, like someone who sees the world, in a very negative way. They always think everything is the opposite of what people believe to be true and things like that. And so that's a great way to introduce his unpopular question. All right, very good. So we'll continue here and we'll look a little bit at the next one. All right, so the next one, second nature. So when we say that something is second nature to someone, it means that it is very easy for them. It's something that they can do with little effort, and it's pretty much habitual. So something is second nature, it's no problem. So for example, for me, speaking English is second nature because I grew up in the US and I've been speaking English my whole life. And for many of you guys in the messages, speaking English is more difficult, but speaking your native language is second nature. So after you have spent a lot of time practicing something, you can say that something is second nature to you. So es como instintivo or algo que le sale natural, like it's part of you, like it's something you don't even have to think about. So if you need to kind of describe or give confidence to your actions, you can say that something is second nature to you. So, and ignore this here. I forgot to edit this part out. This is, actually, I'll just delete this. This is an idiom I've never heard of, old hat. But sometimes we say something, never mind. No, just stick with second nature. It's a great idiom. So now we'll look at how it's used so we can see it a bit more in context.
It'll become second nature to you and you won't even realize that you're doing it.
Very good. So she's giving some kind of advice, it looks like about relationships, and she says that something will become second nature to you. It will become a part of who you are. It will become a habit.
It'll become second nature to you by working on one skill at a time. With practice, it'll become second nature to you.
So you practice something and it will become second nature. So very good context.
That are becoming second nature online are being applied to offline areas of our everyday life.
Pieces, that needs to become second nature for us as a people.
So yeah, something to become second nature is something needs to, become a part of who we are. So we'll move on to the next slide. Any questions here so far about any of the idioms we've discussed already? Okay, let me move on to the next slide. Okay, very good. All right. So we're arriving to the quiz. So what I'd like you guys to do is read these 3 sentences and then fill in the blank with either food for thought, play the devil's advocate, or second nature. So I'll give you guys a minute to read these and fill in the blanks. That's an interesting idea. Definitely some before we make a final decision. I don't actually disagree, but let me for a second. What if this plan fails? After doing it for years, explaining the process is for him. All right, what do we have for these three? All right, I'll give you guys a moment to read these and put your questions, your answers in the chat. Ponga las respuestas en el chat. All right, so the first one here, we would say food for thought. Definitely some food for thought. Okay. The next one, I don't actually disagree, but let me play the devil's advocate for a second. Play the devil's advocate. Okay. So to take the other side of the opinion, to take the other side of the argument, sorry. And then after doing it for years is second nature. So something is second nature once you're comfortable doing it. Once you can do it in your sleep. Very good. Last one is second nature. Very good one. And number one is food for thought. Perfect, Lords. All right. Very nice. And then, yeah, number two, play the devil's advocate. All right. Very nice. All right. Welcome, Leo. As you see, I didn't bring the wig here to the live class, so we can all focus on the English. But all right, we'll continue. So the next one is agree to disagree. Now, this is a phrase you can use when you've been arguing back and forth and you realize you're not going to make any progress. You can say, okay, let's agree to disagree. Es como aceptar que no estamos de acuerdo. I don't know if you say this, pero también sería como que estamos de acuerdo de que no estamos de acuerdo. No sé. Si yo fuera alguien que habla español como nativo, yo diría eso, pero no soy así. Entonces, a ver, no sé si se puede decir de esa manera, pero en inglés es agree to disagree. So, very effective phrase to kind of move on after you realize that you hit a wall with something. So sometimes in a negotiation or a discussion, you have to agree to disagree. You have to realize it's okay. We can still be friends or coworkers or business partners if we don't agree on this, and it's a polite way to end an argument. So it's a very useful phrase because in life, in business, and relationships, sometimes we have to agree to disagree. So, all right, and here, the origin, it says that it was first recorded in the 18th century by John Wesley in theological context, so some sort of religious debate. So, yeah. You could also say let it go. Es como superar o déjalo así, something like this. So, now let's look at it used in context. Agree to disagree.
Is it really necessary to kill one another? Couldn't we just agree to disagree?
This is a great example. So he says, is it really necessary to kill one another? Couldn't we just agree to disagree? So he's saying, do we have to be hostile? Do we have to be hateful? We should just accept that we don't agree and coexist peacefully. Very good example.
Even as
cooperation would continue much more. At the same time, we'd have to agree to disagree, and we continue to privately and publicly argue what.
Okay. Very good. So he's talking about we'd have to agree to disagree. We need to accept that we won't always be on the same page, and we need to move forward regardless. So very good and a very useful phrase. All right. The last phrase or verb here. Oh, okay. Lords, thank you. Okay. Estamos de acuerdo en estar en desacuerdo. Ah, ok. Eso es mucho mejor que lo que dije, ¿cierto? No comparto tu postura, pero la respeto. Ah, ok. Bueno. Sí, ese es muy bien porque yo también estoy aprendiendo cosas de español. Muchas gracias. Es que no estamos de acuerdo. Ah, ok, súper. Entonces sí, es una frase muy común también en español. Listo. All right. So the last one here is settle. So settle has a few different meanings, but in this case, to settle means to agree. So we need to settle this disagreement. We need to, yeah, kind of end it. So when you settle, in this case, you find a solution or you find common ground, como resolver o ponerse de acuerdo. So, very good. All right. So, yeah, in this case, it's all about resolving a conflict, and it comes from Old English. So, another similar word is bury the hatchet. Now, this is not quite the same because to bury the hatchet, this is when you have a conflict and you decide to forgive each other and move past it. Move past it. Es como hacer las paces. Como bury the hatchet is como hacer las paces. And a hatchet is like an axe. So un hache, creo, como a big axe to cut down a tree. So to bury the hatchet is to, like, this is a weapon that could be used to hurt someone. So to bury this, como desenterrarlo, enterrarlo, como ponerlo en la tierra, es como ya no vamos a pelear más, ya estamos bien. So that's what bury the hatchet means. All right. Welcome everybody who just joined. We're talking about some business English idioms. So, and settle does have quite a few other meanings in a legal context. Settle is very commonly used to talk about an agreement in court. So, for example, let's say that someone sues McDonald's for $10 million. McDonald's will contact them and say, okay, let's settle for $1 million, which means instead of going to the court case and doing this, we're going to settle the case. We're going to agree outside of this. And the final meaning of settle is when you kind of agree or you accept something worse for yourself, for example. So we say never settle for less than your best. So in this case, to settle would be like if you really want to work for yourself and you want to start your own business, or you want a promotion, but you decide to go for the safe job and you never really go for what you want. You're happy and you're content with what you have, but you want more, but you kind of settled. So you've agreed to not fully push yourself in this context. But mostly it's about agreement. Settle is all about agreement. So let's see what we have here. All right, very good. Welcome, everyone. So we'll look at a few examples, and then we'll review everything that we just learned. So we'll see settle.
I realized
marriage. Yes, prenups are used to settle financial matters in.
So prenups, a prenuptial agreement is used to settle, to come to an agreement about the finances in a divorce.
Wait.
businesses pushing me to alternatives.
So that's quite good. And they're used to it and they come and they settle.
Okay. Let's see.
Balloon out, pushing them.
Yes. Conformarse. Exactly.
Apart until they settle into an orbit about half an hour long.
Okay. And so here we're seeing settle used a lot to mean kind of, yeah, like Lord said, to conform, to kind of hard to explain without using the word, but to get down into a comfortable place. Like when you mix, for example, if you take a protein powder and you shake up the protein powder and you leave it, it will settle at the bottom. All the powder will move to the bottom. But let's look at settle. Let's talk about settle a disagreement, and we can see it used in the right way.
They are about to settle a disagreement over a debt.
Okay. Interesting video. But yeah, in the Middle Ages, they are going to settle a disagreement with weapons.
Made this abundantly clear back in 2009. Greg decided to settle a disagreement with one of his neighbors by making a Molotov cocktail and throwing it at his neighbor's trailer. But on impact, the wind shifted and the roaring flames set fire to other surrounding vehicles, including Craig's own trailer. With his home destroyed as a result of his sincerely stupid attack, he was arrested with charges of arson. On the bright side, he didn't have to worry about finding another place to stay.
Okay. Interesting. So this thing started out by saying that he wanted to settle a disagreement by throwing a firebomb at his neighbor's trailer, but it ended up burning down his trailer as well. This is quite an interesting video. I may watch this later. Things stupid people do. But anyway, to settle a disagreement. All right. All right. Very good. So we're running a bit short on time. I do have to go and teach a class. Actually, let me make sure it's not starting right now. I think it's starting at 8:30, but I need to double check. Sorry, guys. Give me 1 second. I got to make sure my class is not starting now. I believe it's at 8:30. Yes. Okay. So my class will be at 8:30, so I have a little bit more time with you guys here. All right. So what we're going to do is we're going to go through the dialogue again, but now I want you guys to fill in the blanks. So I'll start here with Jerry. I don't want to here, but I don't think Kim is making a good financial decision for our company. Oh, I don't know. Maybe you just don't. I think she's done a lot of research and it's why they pay her the. All right. So the options here are see eye to eye, knows what she's doing, make waves, and big bucks. So take a moment to look at the options and tell me which one goes first, second, third, and fourth. Okay. And is this... Okay, perfect. Okay, so the first one is make waves. I don't want to make waves here. I don't want to cause problems. Okay. The next one is not quite. So we'll use settle in the next one. But settle, you could use it in this context, kind of, oh, I don't want to settle, but it would have a different meaning. So here it means he doesn't want to make trouble, but if we said settle, it would mean he doesn't want to agree to something he's not happy with. Very good, Leo. I don't want to make waves here. Okay. Number two, maybe you just don't see eye to eye. You just don't know what she's doing. Okay. So this actually would make sense, but not quite in this context. So when you say, like, this actually works in this second one, but this would go here. Number three would be knows what she's doing. But the way you put it, Leo, that's actually also correct. That would also work, but it would give a slightly different meaning. But that's okay. But knows what she's doing would be here because we're talking about this woman's ability. And then the last one they pay her the big bucks. So lots of money. Okay. So now we'll move on to part 2. Let me. Okay. Well, I understand why you think that. You were just like Kim and have never really been. Anyway, it's to making big decisions is to her. She's great at it. Okay, we're never going to this, I think. All right, so the first one is you were born with a silver spoon in your mouth, just like Kim. Silver spoon in your mouth. So meaning she was born very privileged. Okay, the next one, have never really been short on cash. Okay. Right. Yes, very good. Anyway, it's some food for thought. It's something to think about. It's some food for thought. Okay. And next one here, to play devil's advocate. So to take the other side of the decision here, to play devil's advocate. Making big decisions is second nature to her. Exactly. Second nature. So it's something she's very skilled at. She doesn't have to think about it. Okay. Let's agree to disagree. So they agree that they will not have an agreement here. And the last one here, we're never going to settle this. So we're never going to settle this. We're never going to come to an agreement. So very good. All right. So that's all we have for today. I'd like to thank you guys so much for tuning in and watching and participating here in the chat. It was great going over these phrases with you guys. So if you are interested in learning more and would like to take classes with me, you can send me an email or a DM on Instagram or YouTube, and I'll give you the information about one-on-one or group classes. Also, if you guys are interested in supporting the work I do here on the channel, you can use this link to make a donation. So I'll put this link here in the messages again. And I'll also put the link to the presentation. So if you would like to review this presentation after the class, then feel free to do so. So I'll put the presentation link here. And later I'll put this link also on Instagram so that you guys can check out the presentation and go over any new words or phrases. So yeah, I'll hang out here for a couple minutes. If anyone has any questions, you can put them in the messages. Pero sí, muchas gracias por estar aquí esta noche para estudiar y aprender conmigo, para participar y todo eso. Y también me dices, no sé cómo piensas, cómo les fue. Es que estoy nuevo en eso y entonces estoy intentando ajustar las cosas, encontrar la dinámica correcta entre hablar en inglés y español y todo eso. Entonces, si hay alguna pregunta, me escribes y sí, voy a esperar unos minuticos más para que ustedes tengan la oportunidad de poner unas preguntas ahí. All right, very good. So it looks like we don't have any questions. So thanks again for watching. And I hope to do another class, hopefully early next week. Hopefully not. Hopefully we won't have to wait till Friday. I want to do this maybe 3 times a week, but for now, just every Friday. But anyways, thank you guys for watching, and yeah, I'll see you next time. Bye-bye. You're very welcome.